We opened on Monday morning with news about a vaccine from Pfizer and ended the week on Friday with more news with a Trump presser. And of course, the market did really good. In fact, on Friday closed up 400 points and started on Monday at one point up 1,600 points on the Dow. But of course, a lot of it is revolving around, of course, COVID-19.
It was a very challenging week for investors because what had worked up to this point this year did not work this week, and what hadn't did. So, for example, we saw the energy stocks up over 16% for the week in an ETF. The banks up 12%. The NASDAQ actually finished down slightly. So a lot of sector rotation amongst a lot of very good news. In fact, I'd characterize this as a week in which we re-rated health and geopolitical and political risk.
Yeah, at the same time, all news was about the virus and, of course, everything that's happening with that. We had election news that was also coming out. Oh, by the way, that we were so encompassed about what's happening. We still don't have full clarification. In fact, there's still 17% under the betting odds that Trump remains the president, but not a significant number. And secondarily, we're keeping very close eye on what's happening in Georgia.
Absolutely. Right now, it looks like the Republicans have 50 seats in the Senate, the Democrats 48. As you mentioned, 2 runoffs in the state of Georgia on January 5th. Odds makers basically suggest the Republicans have 2-to-1 odds to win those elections, so we'll obviously be monitoring that because a 52-48 Senate would be a much different environment than a 50-50 Senate, where Kamala Harris as vice president would potentially have the tie-breaking vote. So a lot hinges on that in terms of what kind of agenda the Biden administration can ram through the Congress and get approved.
In fact, you have to go all the way back to 1884 when Grover Cleveland was elected president to find when one party's presidency did not carry over into the Senate, unbelievably. But that's what happened here, where, of course, Biden looks to have won the presidency, but it looks to be that the Republicans will control the Senate, and that means gridlock, and really, unfortunately, the market likes gridlock.
Yeah, and that may be one of the reasons why those two sectors did so well this week, because were the Democrats to have a toss-up in the Senate, they could potentially get cabinet appointees who might be more aggressive against the energy sector or the financial services sector. More moderation would be the result of a gridlock Congress, and that's probably a good thing, because as we know, Dave, through all those presentations we did, the equity markets really don't care who the president is. They care what the composition of the Congress is, and divided government has actually generated better stock market returns than a unified Congress.
And of course, if there is a Republican Senate, that means there would not be a huge change in tax policy. As you know, Danny, we did 4 of these webinars, and one of the big takeaways, of course, was to stay invested. You may have to make some tactical moves, but it certainly proved out to be the point that staying invested, even with a little bit of cash or a little bit of gold on the side, is one thing, but to stay primarily invested was the right move.
By the way, that webinar, all 4 of them are up on our website, but the webinar, which was post-election, is quite good. I think it's less than 30 minutes. You can catch it in less than 30 minutes, so maybe something to do this weekend.
Yeah. Although you can come over and rake some leaves at Danny's house. But, the other thing that we are certainly watching is what a Biden presidency would look like. And there's certainly ideas that you have to pay attention to. There's certainly going to be things that we're going to watch. And one of the things, Derek, in the last minute here, is the executive power controls trade policy.
Right. The president gets to set the tone there, doesn't have to gain congressional approvals. And, our belief is that Biden would have a more unified approach with our other allies in negotiating with China. It wouldn't be as nationalistic. The threat of terrorists would certainly be reduced, if not eliminated, with both China and the EU. So that would be a positive for global trade, which is one of the reasons why I think any number of emerging market countries, their stock markets are racing to new highs. Asia's done a better job containing the virus. China's had a V recovery, and emerging markets obviously are benefiting from a little bit of better environment for global trade.